We're recording now. Okay, so the plan today is to just touch on the portfolio a bit, go over the markets, S&P, NDX. I want to look at some future charts in those markets, look at some sector rotation, look at the XOK, go over some AI stocks real quickly, and then go over a few software stocks. And then I want to look at crypto again, and then metals, and then we'll end on a few oil plays that I'll just give my opinion on what I see there. But first, let's kind of just look at the portfolio. So this past week was particularly challenging in the markets, and it wasn't a good week for the portfolio in general. So, okay, I think you can see the portfolio now. So it was a lot of red this week, unfortunately. And I think, one of the things that I feel like I got off track this week, I had a focus going into the week that I wanted to focus on three specific areas, or a couple of areas, mainly crypto and some metals. And then it kind of I started to take some plays in AI stocks, software, and it just kind of got a bit chaotic. And it got to the point where I just said, I think I'm going to go ahead and exit most of my positions, kind of refocus what I should be looking at, what I wanted to look at, take the weekend to kind of recenter myself. And then now I feel like I'm refocused right now on what I want to look for this coming weekend. And I want to specifically focus on three areas. My plan is to look at, or my plan is to take some positions in the markets, particularly some future contracts, and then crypto, and then metals. And that's not to say I won't take some positions in certain stocks. I may or may not, but for right now, I really want to just focus on those three main areas. I believe a couple of weeks ago, the portfolio was around 92%. Now it's at about 80, just under 86%. And I think refocusing kind of on what I want to look for specifically this week, I think I have a pretty good plan going into the week. So I don't plan on taking some AI trades or any kind of software trades right now. I really just want to focus initially on the markets right now. So let's take a look at the S&P first. I had mentioned in a previous video that I saw that the S&P was making this kind of diamond pattern, and that a breakout of this pattern could be significant. And we start to see on really on Thursday, it started to kind of peak above here, but really on Friday, there was some follow through. And so the expectation is now, I think that we are ready for the next leg in the market to go higher. And I think that's going to throw a lot of bears off right now. I think some people think that, oh, we're very extended, and we are. And I showed this before, that the market is just getting ready to put in this kind of next leg up, and we may start to see an increase in the slope of the market going higher. And it seems as if the S&P is ready to move higher. If we look at the overall structure of this, it's broken this downtrend line, and it's just moving higher, and it looks really strong. And we'll look at some of the stocks that may be contributing to this, and it's mainly the XOK. We saw previously, let's see if I can find it. So we saw this week that there was a bounce in the XOK, which is this line right here. we saw a bounce in XLK. Originally, healthcare had a rebounding week the previous week, and it didn't. It's actually declined this week. So I don't know if money's just rotating around or what, but it didn't have a particularly good week. What led the market this week was energy, and it was probably because of that spike during the week when the war resumed, and there was a sanction on Iranian oil. But it looks as if tech is ready to resume the lead again, and there are a few other sectors. Communications did well. Meta had a really good close to the week, and I think that's pretty much it. But I think tech is ready to resume the lead for the week. And what I would like to start moving into is the futures contracts. So if we look at the ES, you can see that this thing is extremely bullish. It's putting in this series of higher lows, and it just wants to move higher. And it's kind of consolidated for a little while. And this has been a really choppy period. You have these moves. I noticed this past week, Wednesday in particular, I was up when the market opened, and then maybe an hour or two later, I was down in my portfolio, and it's just been really choppy. But it looks as if now is when it wants to show some strength, and it broke through some various levels, came down and tested this lower level. And I think a lot of people assumed that these lows down here were going to get tested, but it took it all back in one day. It took all these 3 days right here and some of this fourth day back. And then in 2 days, it completely took back this correction, consolidated a bit, wanted to kind of test lower, but every time it tested below this, we'll just say 7,500 range, it got taken back quickly. And now it's completely taken back this, or it's moving above this kind of consolidation area, and it's moving higher. And I think we're going to see, I'm expecting us to go on a significant run here. Maybe up to the 8,000 area, maybe 8,500. I don't know. But right now the market is telling me, hey, you may want to jump on board right here because we're getting ready to take off again. And every time that market, if we look back at the S&P, every time the market has gone through one of these, and it didn't really go through a correction here per se. I mean, it was a slight correction, but every time the market has come down a bit, it's taken it back over 100%, the move. So like I've always said that I want to be in the market because it looks like it's going to go parabolic. I think we're starting that right now. And that's when I want to, start to get into some of these future contracts. I probably won't take the ES directly. I will probably get into the micro contracts. And I'm recording this on Sunday, so I will probably maybe even get in when the market opens up later today, or may look to see on Monday how it's shaping up to be. But I would like to start to leg into some of the future contracts. I got into the SPY on Friday towards the end of the day when the S&P, let's see if I can show this. Let me just show it here. So when the S&P opened up on Friday, you had this, this big wig down, and it completely took it back. And I'll show you a play that I did in SanDisk that set up real nicely. But when the market is just trending higher like this, and it's not too far from all-time highs, it took back, I mean, it basically double topped with the June 15th high. And all-time highs are not that far away. But when you see a market just kind of trending higher throughout the entire day, chances are that trend is going to continue on the next trading day. And so that's when I, towards the end of the day, I started buying SPY contracts for this coming Friday. I believe there's the 760 calls, or yeah, 760 strikes, and so I'm legging into some of the SPY calls right now, but I do plan to add some future micro contracts. And a big part of what is contributing to this move higher is the XLK. If you were to combine, so right now the XLK is 38% of the S&P. If you add Meta and Google to that, you're up over 50%. So when people buy the S&P and they think they're buying diversity, they're really buying a very, very highly concentrated portfolio. So you know, the XLK is just bull flagging up here, and generally when you look at measured moves, you look at this pole, and then wherever the breakout is, that's where you put the pole, and that's where the measured move is. Now, I'm not going to do that, but you can get an idea that this could be, once this thing breaks out, it could be significant. And all it's doing is bull flagging, and it's staying within the upper range of this channel right here. So it just wants to go higher. It seems as if this market is just on steroids, and it just wants to continue to move higher. And there are a lot of people that are bearish this market. You know, I have a group of targets, lower targets in the S&P that I know are going to get hit at some point, but I'm not hanging my hat that they're going to get hit anytime soon. The way this market's behaving, it wants to go higher. The NDX is not where the S&P is. It's a little bit behind the curve here, but it's picking it up. We should start to see a move towards this downtrend line right here. And then as it moves higher above here, I may start to leg into some, maybe some QQQ contracts, some calls, maybe by the TQQQ. I'm not sure yet, but I want to get into the NASDAQ as well. So I think this thing is going to continue higher. And if we got both the S&P and NASDAQ moving higher, it's going to really fuel the overall markets much higher. Let's go into a few AI names just to see where the fuel for this move higher may be. So it's generally been Mu, SanDisk, AMD, the memory, the semiconductors. Those are the ones that have been fueling the market higher. And so we want to see if whether they're still going to provide fuel for a move higher after they've corrected significantly. Now, the area for Mu to move higher is $1,000. It has to get over this 1,000 level, and once it does, it can start to move back up and correct a lot of this, or recover a lot of this correction. But right now, it is struggling to get over that area. It moved up closer to that area on Friday and then just retreated. So you may start to see it give it a few more chances this week and then eventually move higher. We'll see. But for right now, it's a little bit behind the curve, and it's showing a little bit of weakness right now. SanDisk is not. It's not behind the curve. It's actually showing strength, and it broke through this level up here, and it wants to move higher. It refused to come down even lower. You can even say this is kind of a double bottom down here from here, and it's just it's recovering this correction pretty well. One of the things that you want to look for in strength is how much it recovered so far, and it's above. What's right around 50% of recovering from this correction, and that's the sign of strength. If we look, when we're going to look at some of these other AI names, they're not even at the 38, the point or 38.2% recovery level yet. But when it gets to about 50%, you could start to see that the strength is there and it wants to move higher. So I would expect SanDisk to kind of move up to this downtrend line right here and continue its move higher. One of the things that I wanted to show you was, let me look at the lower time frame here, was on Friday. You had this move right here. It opened up, it gapped down. So on Thursday, you know, I saw it just continuously grinding higher. I figured 2000 was in the cards soon up here. And if it just continued this on Friday, it was just going to continue to move up to 2000. So I bought some calls for Friday, last Friday, on Thursday, expecting that move higher. And what does it do? I nearly almost picked the top up here, and it just completely retreated down to 1856. And then on Friday, it gapped down even further. So those calls, I mean, about 95% of that call was gone. I had a couple of calls on it. But one of the things that you want to keep in mind if you're going to swing trade, that there is a setup whenever there's a gap down and it's falling into a previous gap. If that gap does not close, if it doesn't close that gap, that's a sign of strength, because you would think that a move down would at least fill this gap up, and then you may see some recovery. But the fact that it didn't come down all the way and fill the gap, and then it quickly took it back on next candle, that's a sign of strength. And so I wait. I generally like to wait and look to see how the first 5 minutes of a chart is doing, and that usually gives you an idea of where it may be going. And if you were to buy, technically you could buy the high of this candle on the break, and you know, have your entry like that, and then use the low as your stop. When I saw it come back down again, I thought that this could be a good entry for SanDisk, and I bought at the, I think it was 1801 price, and sat in it for most of the day, and it continued to show strength. It continued to recover. It got as high as 1944, but I believe when I started to see this kind of weakness, I didn't want to go through this again. So I just wound up closing it, I believe, at 1920. But this is a really nice and believe it or not, very common setup that you can take for a quick day trade. Whenever you see these kind of whenever you see this kind of strength in a stock on a gap down, it's basically saying that the bears, they lost control early, and bulls are re-entering this trade to push it higher. So that turned out to be a nice trade, and I think I got out of my calls somewhere up here, and I think I got back on, I can't remember, like 50 or 60% of the call, of what I paid for that call, those calls back. So it wasn't too bad of a losing trade as it originally started out to be. But that's just something that you just keep in mind if you ever want to have a quick day trade right there. But overall, you can see this bounce has legs. It wants to move higher. Western Digital, it's struggling a bit, but you can see that there is a bounce here. And I mean, I would expect it once it crosses up here to the 616, it could start to move higher. NVIDIA looks really strong right now. You know, I mentioned before that, you know, it put in this kind of head and shoulders pattern, presented a bull trap. That bull trap was basically fuel for the next leg higher. I got out of it. I got into this thinking it was going to continue down. I got out of it on this candle, it legged up. Once it gets over this right shoulder, it invalidates this tire reversal pattern, and it started to move higher, put in an all-time high, and now it's been correcting. And I mentioned, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, that it may do the exact same thing that it did here and put in a bear trap. And sure enough, that's what it did. It presented a couple of traps here, and now it's moving higher. And if it gets above this 211, it's gonna want to get into this area up here. Let me look at the options, see what it's doing. Is that the right one? Nope, that's not the right one. Hold on, let me switch this or add this other. I think it's this one. Yeah. All right, let me just correct this right here. Make this large. Get rid of that table. Okay. So it looks like it wants to pin. The options are suggesting there may be a pin at 210 where it's at right now, but it's moving a little bit higher above there. If it gets above 210.60, which it is right now, where it closed on Friday, it could start to move up to this trigger area, 217, and then it's gonna have some chop getting above the 217 because there's a call wall there. But regardless, it looks really bullish. It could easily move up into the 217 area from here. So that's probably going to add some fuel to the fire right there for the market to move higher. AMD as well. I mean, this thing is really setting up a launching pad right here. Once it gets above this 572, it's going to move significantly. It's been consolidating for some time. Well, since June 12th, it's been consolidating. While MU and SanDisk were correcting, this one hasn't. So look for this one to move higher this week as well. ARM is struggling. Some of these stocks are doing well and some of them are not, and they may just be losing some favor in the market. Intel as well. Intel's struggling. AMAT's recovered some. It may be a contributor. AVGO struggling. It's at the top of this downtrend. It may just continue its downtrend. Marvel looks horrible. Earnings are not till August. So, it may just bear flag up here above support. ANET looks really, really good. It broke out of this pattern. It broke above this resistance area, came back down and retested it. Now it's wanting to move higher. So look for ANET to be a mover this week as well. AAOI, these are the photonics. This looks horrible. This looks like it wants to test support down here. LITE looks like it's recovered some. It's bounced. It looks different than some of these other names in the same field. Coherent looks horrible. I think the thing with LITE is that it's been such a lottery ticket. I know some of us were down here even below 100. We got out too early. But it's been such a lottery ticket. I think the reason why it may be bouncing more relative to the other names is that when you get a lottery ticket, the chances are you're going to want to buy another one if you see an opportunity. And maybe some people saw it coming down as an opportunity, and they think that, hey, it may go up to all-time highs again, and they want to be on board and say that they caught it twice. So. But overall, that particular sector is not looking good. GE looks really good. It's just consolidating up here. it put in this reversal, and it's just kind of consolidating. It looks like it wants to move higher. The data centers don't look good. They look like they want to test these lows down here. IREN, CIFR put in a pretty good bounce, but it filled the gap, and that's not particularly bullish. It didn't show like it wanted to bounce once it filled it. I mean, it bounced on that was it early part of Friday, but then it came back down. So it may want to test these lower areas again. NBIS. I mean, this is just a weak bounce. Let's look at some software plays. Microsoft looks horrible. It put in a pretty good bounce, but it's just struggling to move even higher. I mean, if it gets over this downtrend line, it may be a trade there, but I don't have any interest in taking that one. Now it's just kind of grinding a little bit higher. I mean, there's really nothing to say about this other than it just probably will continue to grind higher. Adobe filled the gap. It's been bouncing, but it looks like it's just struggling to get up higher. Let me look at something. Yeah, so there's a call wall zone in this area up here from 228 to 240. That's a wide area. And what usually happens when you get to this call wall is that there's a bunch of people that are holding calls up here. And as price moves into that area, they're going to want to monetize those calls, and that's going to have a choppy effect on the price. You can see that it rejected once it got up into that area. It really has to get over that area in order for it to move significantly higher, but it's kind of going to be a chop zone for a while. So I have a little bit of Adobe in another account, and if I get a big push through this area, I may just exit. I really don't like these software plays right now. Workday, yeah, I mean, it's trying to base down here. There's really not a play in this until it breaks above 153.88, and then you start to take back a significant portion of this correction. There's really no play until it decides to show some strength. Team, same thing, it's kind of grinding higher. These things look like they're just reluctantly going against a lot of resistance, just trying to reverse back up. FICO needs to get over this area right here around 1327. I mean, same thing. It's just kind of grinding higher. I mean, I guess some of these plays would be good opportunities just to get in and sit in and, be a trade for the next 6 months or so and see how I would expect they would be higher, but these are just slow grinding stocks. Okay, so Bitcoin. I want to look at getting back into Bitcoin. I exited on Friday some of my Bitcoin future contracts, and I'm looking to get back into those. So if you look at this overall structure right here, this was the top up here. You could see that it's losing kind of momentum. These are getting shorter and shorter moves down, which is a sign that things may be reversing soon. And then, let me look at the futures. Yeah, this shows it better. You can see that, at about around this level, there's been a lot of bad sentiment about crypto in general. You had all these people going on X saying that they sold Bitcoin. You had MSTR going down. They became sellers of Bitcoin. Um, there's all this negativity right now about crypto, and what has it done in the meantime? It's refused to get down below this 60,000 area. It didn't spend a lot of time down there. So if things are not, if overall sentiment is so bad and it's not being able to push price down, the thought is that there's a reversal in process. That could be in process. And so I want to get back in it thinking that this could be an asymmetric bet right here, down here. If I get in down here and it continues to reverse and move higher, there's the opportunity to just kind of build out the position as it's moving up and just sit back and enjoy the ride from here. But, what I had mentioned before was that I wanted, once it crossed the 64 area, was I considered it to be bullish. And, at the time I said that, I was expecting 64 to be kind of a breakout area where it would break out of that area like it did here and just move significantly higher. And it didn't even do that. It's just been consolidating around here, and there's, it's almost like a coin flip. I don't know if this thing's going to roll over or if it's going to show some strength, but it's not doing what it did before, and I was expecting for it to just really move higher. Overall, this type of move down is not a particular bottoming. It doesn't look like a what would you call it? A bottoming process where there's a quick reversal. So maybe this is going to take some time to move higher. Not to say that it could not bottom here, but I do think the bottom is in for the cycle right now, the bear cycle, and I do think this next move is going to start from here. So I want to be in it. I'm probably going to buy some of these future contracts, and sit in them and just start to build out the position. What I would look to do is I would like to buy some down here and then add, if it got up to this 74, 75, or 74,750 area, and just add, and then my basis is down here, and I could just sit in this thing and just enjoy the ride. One of the things that, let me kind of pull something up here. I don't think I have it on here. Let me kind of bear with me for a second. So I like to look at the 50, the 128, and the 200 on the daily to get an idea of what we're seeing, if there's a trend higher or not. Let me change these. All right, let's just look at that. So let me get rid of these lines. Got the daily. So the 50 may be resistance here. I was hoping that what we would see is something like this, where it's moving back up the 50. It's going to cross the 128, and then these 128 and the 200 are going to start to flatten out and resume higher. And it looks as if they're narrowing a bit. What we really need is the 50-day to move back up, and you can kind of see that when the 50's crossed the 128, it's caused a it foreshadowed a significant move down. but it crossed again here, and I'm hoping that we don't get a move down here. I was expecting that we may get a move down towards the period at which most of these cycles bottom, between really September and January, and we still may get that. But what I would like to see is these things start to move higher. If we look at the futures, yeah, I mean, these things are coming straight down. I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but it does look like it wants to reverse like it did here and move higher. Even if it just got above the 50 and started to challenge the 128 and the 200, challenge with 200 like it did before, that would be a good return right there. But we'll have to we'll just have to monitor. But I do plan to get into these future contracts either tonight or on Monday. Ethereum looks really good too. It actually looks a little bit better than oh, I know what I wanted to show y'all. If you look at the lower time frame here, it's almost as if you have a head and shoulders pattern here, right? So this would be the shoulder, head, and then shoulder, and that's a type of reversal type of pattern right there, which look good. You see the same thing in Ethereum here, right? Kind of if this was the neckline, you show that it may be moving higher. So you got this type of patterns that are typical of reversals. The next thing is to actually see it reverse. I'm not going to get into Ethereum. I want to get into ETHU. I was in it and I got out, and I want to get back into it. So the plan is that to get back into ETHU, and then if it gets above to this area, well, I'd have to gauge it. But what I would like to do is back into this, and then maybe this is the point. I don't know, but look to see where I could add and just build out the position. The future contracts in ETH look really good. You can see it broke this downtrend line, and it just refused to stay down here. It's moved up to this next level. If it breaks this 1862.50, it'll come back into this trading area where it's normally traded, and then hopefully move up to this top of this range up here, up to the 2400. So that'll be a good return on ETHU. What is ETHU? Is it? Yeah, it's 2 times ETH. So that'll be a good return. But you can see that even here, you got this head and shoulders kind of pattern that's trying to form and break higher. So it looks good. It looks really good. I want to get in it and just form a position. Same thing with XRP future contracts. You could see that, bears tried to push it down. It didn't want to stay down here. It broke back up above this level at 105 shortly and quickly got out of there. It's corrected, but it's just having a hard time going lower. Maybe it just bases down here, but there is the chance that if Bitcoin is going to move higher or grind higher, that XRP will go with it. So we'll just keep an eye on this. I'll probably buy the Bitcoin future contracts, ETHU, XRP, and I think it was coin. Yeah, look at the head and shoulder pattern here. I mean, if it completes it, this thing could move higher. Let's see here. I mean, that neckline is the buy point. What is that? About 172. So it breaks 172. I want to be in it. MSTR just looks so weak. Even with that even with the announcement of the Bitcoin sell plan, it didn't bounce a whole lot. It looks like it wants to roll back over. You know, they're going to have a hard time selling this instrument because it's below $1 or below 100. They can't sell this. The only way they're going to be able to raise money to pay their debt and their dividend is with is selling Bitcoin. But you know, they've been selling Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has refused to. It's been doing this. This doesn't. I mean, this is not mass exodus out of Bitcoin. This is just consolidation down here. But it does have this type of reversal pattern. So I kind of want to start legging into it. Hood, I missed the boat on Hood. I have a friend that got in early and is sitting in it with a good size position. It looks very bullish. It looks like it wants to reverse and then test all-time highs up here at 153. I do want to keep an eye on eToro. I mentioned before that eToro, they have a lot of crypto that I think people will increase their revenues through the crypto if crypto becomes popular again. And so I would, if this is a bottom, which you can see kind of a head and shoulders type of pattern here, if this is putting a reversal, I want to be in it, even though I don't like the company. I think it has a horrible business strategy of, you know, copying other traders. It's just not my cup of tea, but maybe for other people it is. But I certainly want to be in it if it's going to reverse. And then gold. Gold is the other one I want to be in. And you can see again, oops. You can see again that it's put in this head and shoulders type reversal. And this one's like a multiple head and shoulders, because look, you can see right there, there's another head and shoulders. You know, maybe something right there, but then you got this small one down here. And then it looks like there's some confluence here where if it breaks this neckline per se, it's going to come up against this downtrend line that's been respected. You know, I usually don't like these diagonal patterns or downtrend lines. I don't give them too much weight as much as I do give the horizontal lines considerable weight, but you can see that it's been respected. So if it breaks through that, I mean, you're going to have some good movement to the upside there, and I want to be in it. So I'm probably going to buy, I don't know what I'm going to do with gold. I don't know if I'm going to buy the future contracts or maybe just a gold play, one of the gold miners. I'm not sure yet, but I will definitely have a play in the portfolio on gold. Silver looks the same. I mean, this downtrend line has just been respected for a very long time. It breaks this, it's gonna move higher. What I would like to do is get in it down here. If it breaks the 63.34, add to it and just sit in it. Hopefully it moves higher. AG is something I want to get into also. It's putting in that kind of reversal type of pattern here too. What I will probably do on Monday is buy the October 27 strike. And then I may add, if it gets up to here, up to the 1876. So that's pretty much it in terms of the focus. I want to get, just to reiterate, I want to get into the S&P through ES contracts, micro contracts. I may buy some QQQ calls or some TQQQ. TQQQ is the the Ultra Pro shares. I may buy some of this on this break, and then I'm not going to get it. I don't have any plans to get into any AI stocks. Some crypto. I want to get some crypto, and then I may buy some coin. We'll keep an eye on eToro. I'm gonna get into that, and then silver. I want to buy some gold, silver, and a silver miner. I may add another, maybe a gold miner, maybe NEM. I need to go over these charts in detail to see where they're at. This doesn't look particularly good, but it may be trying to bottom down here. Man, it's corrected a lot, but you can see once gold starts moving higher, this thing wants to really go. I think there was another one called SSRM. I think it was. Yeah. And this one looks a little bit better than NEM. It's just kind of consolidating here, so I may add this one. You can see the price is just narrowing. It's kind of restricting its range, and then it's gonna move much higher. I may get into this one. This one looks really good. This will probably be a good area to monitor for a stop. We'll see. Yeah, this one looks really good. And then oil. So oil, I'm not really fond of oil right now. And I'll show you in a minute. Geesh. Let me look at US oil. It's the same, similar. Yeah, so it came down, it filled the gap. Filled this gap, and it's starting to bounce a little. But yeah, it just doesn't look strong here. It could be basing for another move lower or maybe higher. I don't know. I don't understand the oil thesis right now. I mean, I would have thought that, I think the war started on the 15th, March 15th. Somewhere around there, maybe March 3rd or something. I want to say it started around here, and it's below. And the war just resumed. So I just don't understand the logic and the sentiment here, and what's driving it lower. There's a lot of theories out there, but it's just it's really hard for me to get into anything oil wise. I did find a couple of oil plays that look kind of good. This TDW looks like it is reversing. It's trying to move higher. It got above this level, and it's moving higher. Next area is 77.26. And then it can get back up into this trading range, which would be very bullish, because then it's taken back a lot of this correction. This one looks good. PBF it's been on a serious run, and it broke above this trading range. It tried to get back into that range, and it didn't want to be back there, and it moved higher. So I would expect this thing to either consolidate up here and move higher, or just continue to run higher. It's pretty extended right now, so it would be nice to see some correction or consolidation. And then NE, I I just have a hard time getting into something like this right now. Yeah, it is bouncing, but I don't know. I just don't like it right now. So this is the 200 that may be providing some support, but you got resistance up here at 42.36. This is a lot of pain right here. People might have thought that oil should be going higher and it isn't. Or, I think NE was the one that didn't really respond very well to higher oil prices. I don't think this move is very significant. It's not like Exxon or, the pure oil plays per se. This is more of a driller. What was the other one? Rig. Yeah, I mean, this just looks horrible. Rig is just, it's trying to bounce, but it's just having a hard time doing so. And I think the other one was Valaris. Oh, there it is. Wow. Yeah, I mean, this thing went on a serious run. Jeez, look at that. It gapped up, consolidated, and just grinded higher. And it's come down significantly. Well, I shouldn't say significantly. %, 32%, 36 at the most. Did it feel? It didn't even fill the gap. Yeah, I don't see anything right now with the oil. So I'm not going to get into any of that stuff, but for right now, I'm just going to stick to those three and focus on those three. So I'll post everything into the Substack chat room or the trade tab, and we'll go from there. Okay, everybody have a good week.